Welcome back to Meet the Leaders here with New York State Assemblyman Al Graf. Assemblyman, you voted against the LIPA restructuring bill. The governor said that LIPA was broken, it needed to be fixed, that they couldn't run anything. They were in charge of the storm response and they had no clue as to what was going on, that it's become this big bloated thing that it was never intended to be. And he said we need to change it. So pared down LIPA and put PSE&G in charge and literally take the LIPA logo off the trucks and put PSE&G in charge, the new utility that's going to be running the power system here on Long Island. You voted against it. Why?
Because it's nonsense. The bottom line is it's not going to do any of those things. It's not going to make power, it's not going to make it cheaper, it's not going to make it more effective. It didn't do anything. It actually broke it even more.
How?
All right. Well, what you did is, right now, all they did is they put a new Department of Public Service in place. And that new Department of Public Service, what happens is say LIPA or PSE&G want to raise the rate by 8%. Well, the rates go in effect right away. And then this new Department of Public Service, they will hold hearings. One in Suffolk, one in Nassau, then they'll put together a report.
Right.
Okay? And that what happens is now we have to hire auditors in order to do this. They're going to audit PSE&G.
Well, you have to know how they're spending the money, don't you?
Right. But then what they're going to do is you're going to have support staff. So these are more salaries, more benefits, more pensions that we're going to be paying out. What happens now is after they do this report, they hand one to PSE&G, they hand one to LIPA, and they hand one to the governor, to the Senate, and to the Assembly. Right? Nice report. But the rates already went into place, and nobody has to pay attention to the report.
But doesn't LIPA, with the information they get from PSE&G, the stripped down LIPA, there's still going to be a board of directors, supposedly made up of utility experts. When they get that report, they will be able to judge whether or not the rate increase is necessary.
You're right. But they can turn around and ignore the report, and nobody can force them to do anything.
Okay.
The other thing is they hire arbitrators. The arbitrators are going to cost money too, plus the support staff.
In the event that there's a disagreement between what, LIPA and PSE&G?
And the ratepayer.
And the ratepayers.
Yeah. So we're going to hire all these arbitrators. We're going to pay salaries, pensions, benefits, right? And that, basically, they can't tell LIPA or PSE&G anything.
So what do you think should be done? Now, for example, you have a 5-point plan that we have up on the screen in front of us to improve the quality of electricity and reduce rates, because our rates are the highest.
Right. This is a bill. This is off a bill that I put in, and what the bill, again, there are no conversations in Albany. We just rush.
But how can you forgive the LIPA debt? I mean, somebody's got to pay that debt.
Well,
I would love to see the debt forgiven.
Well, here's my question. What happens is the state of New York has perpetuated a fraud upon the people of Long Island. And for years, they've made it impossible for Long Island to pay off the debt. Because what happens is they keep putting their little pet projects on top of everything. And they've made it impossible for us to do that. So the debt has never, what we did is shifted the debt.
Right.
But the state makes it impossible for us to pay off that debt.
The state being LIPA, the Long Island Power Authority, which is a state public
New York
authority.
State. New York State keeps putting mandates on LIPA. You're going to buy the solar power. You know the solar power. Look, you remember for our last conversation.
Yeah, you're all for it.
I'm fighting over 9 cents per kilowatt.
Right.
Okay. Meanwhile, the solar panels you see, if you go to the court complex,
yes,
that's a private company, owns all those solar panels. Their sole purpose is to sell that electricity to LIPA. They sell it to LIPA at 21 cents per kilowatt.
That's a pretty good deal for them.
It's a great deal for them, not so great for us. So look, what I've been doing is I've been digging in. LIPA has 272 contracts. They're not focusing on the right thing. And if you look, I have some right here, and if you look at some of the consulting contracts, I have TSR Engineers, TSR Environmental, and TSR Environmental Corporations. And these are all consultings or services. I've got 250,000, 18,310,000, 9,164,000. What do we need all these consultants for? And this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's page after page after page of consulting and everything else.
In all fairness, doesn't the governor agree with you on this? Because why would you need all these consultants if you've got the Public Service Commission, who has the expertise in overseeing utility operations, to do the job of what these consultants were supposedly doing?
His bill doesn't change this. What he's done is create another bureaucracy on top of what we were paying for with LIPA.
Okay, well,
and some of the things we have to look at is the cost of electricity, all right? Because 62% of LIPA's budget was buying electricity.
Right.
And, you know, part of this bill, and
most of it's buying the electricity.
right. Look, and this bill, in all honesty, was actually meant, again, to start a conversation. And one of the senators walked up to me, off to the side, and they focused right on the one where pay off the LIPA debt, right? But there are other parts of this bill and other parts of this program that I'm putting forward. And he looks at me and goes, Al, did you put in a bill to forgive the LIPA debt? I go, absolutely.
Yeah.
He goes, are you crazy? I said, 100%. I said, the idea behind this bill was to get a conversation going.
Of how we're going to lower
in the
that
Senate
debt.
and in the Assembly, right? And that conversation never took place.
Okay, I don't mean to cut you off, but I do want to talk to you about something that's important.
Okay.
As well. And that is that the governor has proposed closing the Psychiatric Center for Very Troubled Children called the Sagamore Psychiatric Center.
Right.
And you don't want to see that happen.
Absolutely. Look,
What's going on there?
here's what's going on. Our kids, what they want to do is if we have kids, I was there the other night for
These are kids who've got serious issues.
and I was there the other night, they put on a talent show. And I had some little girls on the stage in a talent show. And, you know, through my experience teaching and I was on the youth board and different things that I've done with kids, I'm looking at them and I could see that these kids had no self-esteem.
Right.
All right. They were beaten down. All right. They were self-mutilating. Some of them were self-mutilating. They had no self-esteem whatsoever. And this place was building them up.
Yes.
And the families were involved in this. Now you want to take these kids and send them to the Bronx, or you want to send them to Queens, right? The other problem, too, is our court system over here, the family court. When you have a kid with psychological problems, they send them to Sagamore, and the family can be involved. This has been a successful facility for a long time.
You know, I'm so happy to hear you talk about these things, because you're a pretty conservative guy.
Right.
And you're like a straight-from-the-hip type of person. But at the end of the day, if government can't do this, what's government supposed to be doing?
Well, you know what? Sometimes you step over a dollar to pick up a dime, and that's what we're doing here. This is going to cost us more. Look, there's also a conservative part of this. This is going to cost us more money. It's like the funding that we went after for the disabled children, OPWDD funds. And we fought that and fought that. We finally got the funds
And you finally got the
returned.
$90 million restored, because in the end, this is work that has to be done.
Yeah, and I want common sense then.
Assemblyman,
Look,
I don't mean to cut you off,
right.
but we've run out of time.
All right, just let me, one last point.
Okay, go ahead, quickly.
Explain to me how we give $60 million to the Buffalo Bills, but we don't have enough money to take care of our kids.
Oh my God, you sound like a bleeding heart liberal. And that's going to do it for this edition of MTL. I'm Pat Halpin, once again, helping you meet the leaders. And by the way, I agree with you.